Right now, deep inside your brain, your lateral hypothalamus is misreading your blood sugar, and the neuroscientists who mapped it admit they can't stabilize it. Every time you eat, this tiny region is supposed to track glucose and decide how alert you get to be. But it's being fooled constantly by the food you think is helping you focus. And it's happening again right now, whether you skipped lunch or just had a bagel an hour ago. High performers found one rule that interrupts this, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly what it is. Here's what's happening to you today, right now, without you noticing. Somewhere around 10 this morning or 3 this afternoon, your focus didn't just fade, it collapsed. Words on the screen stopped landing. A simple task suddenly felt impossible. You blamed tiredness. You blamed stress. It wasn't either of those. It was your blood glucose spiking, then crashing, and your brain's alertness system reading that crash as a signal to shut down. This isn't a willpower problem. This is a chemical event happening inside your skull, on a schedule dictated by what you ate an hour ago, and you have almost no conscious control over it once it starts. Here's the mechanism, and it's more vivid than you'd expect. Deep in your lateral hypothalamus sit orexin neurons, cells that generate the chemical signal for wakefulness and drive. These neurons are glucose inhibited. That means when your blood sugar rises fast, they go quiet. Alertness drops. This is why a heavy lunch makes you sleepy. Your own alertness switch is being chemically dimmed. But it's the crash after the spike that does the real damage. Glucose rockets up, insulin floods in to correct it and overshoots, and now glucose is falling faster than it rose. Your orexin neurons, which just went quiet, are suddenly starved of fuel entirely. Your brain interprets this as an emergency. Not sleepiness now, fog, irritability. The specific, foggy, can't hold a thought feeling that hits 30 to 90 minutes after a carb-heavy meal. That's not random. That's a measurable neurochemical trough, and it's happening on a loop, meal after meal, day after day. Here's the part the experts can't fix and mostly don't say out loud. Endocrinologists can measure this crash on a continuous glucose monitor with total precision. They can show you the exact graph, spike, peak, plunge, timestamp to the minute. But they can't give you a drug that prevents it because the problem isn't a disease. It's a normal brain responding normally to a modern food environment it was never built for. There's no prescription for you ate rice. The honest answer from the researchers who study this is unsatisfying. The fix isn't medical, it's behavioral, and most people are never taught the actual behavior that works. And here's where common advice gets it backwards. You've probably heard that cutting carbs completely is the fix, going low carb or keto to avoid the spike altogether. For a lot of people, this backfires. Total carb restriction can make the crashes worse when carbs do sneak in, because your insulin response gets more reactive, not less, to sugar it rarely sees. Some of the sharpest focus crashes happen not in people who eat carbs constantly, but in people who eat almost none, then have one slice of cake at a birthday party. Their brain has zero buffer left. The advice to just avoid sugar misses the actual variable that matters, which was never the sugar itself. The variable that matters is the rate of change. And this is the rule high performers actually use, the one almost nobody publishes clearly. They control the order they eat in, not just the content. Vegetables and protein first, carbohydrates last, every single meal. Fiber and protein form a kind of physical buffer in your gut that slows glucose absorption, which flattens the spike before it happens, which means there's no overshoot, which means no crash, which means your orexin neurons never get starved in the first place. Studies using continuous glucose monitors show this single sequencing change can cut post-meal glucose spikes by nearly half, without removing a single food from the plate. It's not about eating less sugar. It's about making your body meet the sugar with resistance already in place. Tonight, this is simple to apply. At your next meal, eat the vegetables and the protein first. Wait even 2 or 3 minutes before touching the rice, the bread, the pasta, the dessert. If you're having a coffee, don't drink it on an empty stomach, pair it with food, because caffeine alone can spike stress hormones that make a glucose crash hit even harder later. Small sequencing changes, repeated at every meal, are what actually stabilizes the orexin system without any of it feeling like a diet. But your lateral hypothalamus isn't the only region getting hijacked by what you eat. There's another structure, buried even deeper, that decides whether you crave the crash-inducing food in the first place, and it's been shaped by something that happened years before you ever picked up that fork.